All right, we're ready for the next part of production, which is now that I have filled all the jars with the herb, now we're going to pump oil, olive oil. We get our olive oil in 55-gallon drums from Spain. Anyway, we buy at industrial scale, so most people can't do that at home. But if you can source high quality olive oil, you can do small batch versions of this. So I will be cranking the oil to fill up, leaving an air gap, the jar, seal it with handy dandy lids. A bunch of jars staged here, so it's just a production job. Then once that's done, we will set them out on the platforms, which you see in all the photographs that I post of the pond out there. They do look like sunning decks, and they are sunning decks. They're sunning decks for herbs. All right, I'm gonna set up the camera here and get to work.
So, if you've been following this series, then you know that each one of these steps is quite a lot of work. These are high volume production days. If you recall, I did 80 jars of St. John's wort on this day, and then like another day I did another 60 of 3 different varieties, which I'll show you separately. So definitely you just have to get into a groove. I do them in pairs and in batches, a couple at a time, and just work my way through it. So I definitely want to agitate each jar. Now this is wet material. The dry material that I'll show you separately, it gets covered really easily, but the wet material will sometimes clump on the bottom. So you've got to definitely make sure and shake it up and get it evenly distributed and get it fully coated with the oil so that you get a good extraction, and do that 80 times. Now you'll notice, because I'm stirring the oil and transporting it, I seal those lids tight. But I don't actually want them to sit out in the sun with very tight lids on them, because the oil will expand in the heat every day, and I don't want to pop the tops off or explode the jars. In the old days, they just used cheesecloth. They just tied cheesecloth on. But, that's a little impractical, so we use these white lids and adapt them. Now, my hand cart will only hold about 18 jars, so I do little waves, little batches of 18 jars at a time, take them down to the platforms and arrange them. I want a little space so that they all get solarized, so the sun moves across the down when the sun hit all the different sides of it. And they sit there in the natural surroundings with the geese and the ducks and everyone, and it just sits in the weather and solarizes like a sun tea like we used to make in the South, and charges up with all this solar energy. So in the next steps, I will show you what happens. This is solarization, what it looks like as it begins to mature out here on these decks. It's a gorgeous process. Thank you for following along with me, and have a great day. Ciao, my friends.